From the Mapleview Animal Hospital studios, this is the WHTC Morning News with Gary Stevens and Peg McNichol on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
Welcome back to the WHTC Morning News for this Tuesday, September 22nd. Tuesday mornings, we have a chance to have a conversation with one of the two men who represent the Lakeshore on Capitol Hill. He is Congressman Fred Upton, joining us from our nation's capital, where he would like his colleagues in the House and Senate to stick around until a new stimulus package is passed. Fred, good morning. Hope all is well with you and the family.
Yeah, it is. It is good. And hope all is well with you and your listeners too.
We wish that as well. And first of all, you sent a little note. Basically, you're part of the problem solvers, telling Speaker Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, stay at work until a settlement is made in this COVID-19 situation.
Well, that's right. And I saw a small business report this morning nationwide. If we don't act, you're going to see thousands of small businesses across the country just shutter up and close and never return. And it'll really be unfortunate. This is really the last chance to try and get something done. As much as we all wanted it over by Easter, that didn't happen. We got to make sure that there's additional assistance that's out there, additional PPP loans, and a number of different things. I talked to a good number of our school superintendents yesterday. They're spending individually hundreds of thousands of dollars in additional costs for things that they just simply didn't know about when they started doing their budget last spring. Assistance needs to be on the way. And frankly, if Congress closes up, if we end up with just passing a continuing resolution, and no one wants to shut down the government, but if we just do that and then not come back until after the election, you're talking about December in terms of actually getting the package done. And that's just too long. Folks that would anticipate getting another stimulus check, we've taken care of things so that people are not going to get paid more on unemployment than they are working. That was wrong, and we've got some steps to curtail that. But, you know, as I told folks yesterday, particularly a lot of our local leaders, community leaders, save your receipts, because this is not going to be doing things like funding pension funds, that nature. You've got to show real need in terms of what your community did. And, you know, I deal with the issue as well, liability relief. Businesses are very worried about liability suits. And again, there is bipartisan room for compromise. Our bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus embarked on a project over the last couple of weeks, came up and announced a solid proposal a week ago. And all through the weekend, we were encouraging our leaders to inspire them to get back to the table, see if we can't get something done before we get out of here.
Now, the concern is that there could be a spike more of COVID-19 cases. Great Britain is sort of tightening its restrictions after a spike there, maybe a bellwether of what we could possibly expect here. That might put more pressure on lawmakers to get something done before they recess for November 3rd, which is 6 weeks from today.
Well, that's right. We have additional money here for testing. But, you know, you look at what's going on overseas, the UK is bad numbers. It's actually, I think the count I saw last night was doubling every couple of days. Israel, the same thing, France and Spain. So, and of course, here locally, we know a number of schools, you know, as schools have opened up. And we've got a number of schools, certainly here in Ottawa, as well as Kent County, that have now reported positive cases. So we're not out of the woods. We need to double down. We need to do all that we can to speed up the quest for same-day testing that's cheap, under $10. And we need, you know, continue to see encouraging news about vaccines. None of them have been approved yet. We got to make sure that the safety standards are still met. But it sure appears as though, you know, groups like Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca are going to be in a position that before the end of the year, literally have over 100 million doses ready and available as they embark on that production. So a lot of work to be done. Congress should not be going home until the work gets done.
Now, the problem is Fred Upton not just going home, but now the spanner in the works, unfortunately, in this regard, although the passing should not be considered a spanner, but the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg makes now who's going to replace her on the Supreme Court the big question in Washington instead of maybe stimulus relief.
Well, she was a trailblazer. There's no question about it. She will be lying in state in the Capitol as well as the Supreme Court a little bit later this week. First woman actually to lie in repose in the U.S. Capitol ever. So that's long overdue, let's face it. But she was, an untimely death for sure, well respected on both sides of the aisle. And, the move now focuses on the Senate. It appears as though the president, I watched some of his remarks last night when I got back to D.C., but he's prepared to offer another female candidate before the end of the week. Lindsey Graham has made no doubt about it that he's going to move promptly and anticipates getting a vote done in the next 6 to 7 weeks. So a lot of action in the Senate. Of course, as our listeners know, House has nothing to do with this. It's solely a Senate function, like treaties and other appointees that are made by the administration. But certainly it is going to take a lot of attention nationally as this process moves forward.
And as I said, a lot of attention away from maybe some things that need to get done because everybody's more concerned about who's going to be the new Supreme Court justice, or, the same arguments we saw 4 years ago with the death of Antonin Scalia, we're seeing now, and the shoe's on the other foot with the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Well, that's right. But you know what? The calendar doesn't stop. The end of the fiscal year is next week. The Senate is yet to pass a single appropriation spending bill. So there's a lot of work to be done, not only this week, but next week. And we're just hoping that we can attach another COVID package that is going to address the needs of the needy. That's a good sentence, isn't it? Address the needs of those that need it most in the next number of days as well. And that's why the Problem Caucus really worked much of the month of August, including Labor Day weekend, to see if we could cement down a good relationship and a good work product that was constructive that would solve some of these issues.
One final thing, Fred Upton, the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, you were part of it, and it's now heading to the Senate.
Well, that's right. And we had an overwhelming vote. There's no way that employers should be able to discriminate against pregnant workers. This was a solid bipartisan bill. Actually, good news, the Chambers of Commerce has scored it as a positive vote. A number of states have done this. This would make it national. It passed overwhelmingly. Both Bill Huizenga and I supported it last week. I would expect that the Senate can pass this by a voice vote based on the margin that we had in the House. A good thing.
Yeah, let's hope that's exactly the case. Fred Upton, Congressman from St. Joseph, want to thank you very much for joining us this morning, as you do most Tuesday mornings, for our conversations on WHTC Morning News. Wish you and all in Congress well over the next week. And if all goes well, let's do this again next Tuesday morning. Thank you, sir.
Sounds like a deal.
Thank you very much. That's Fred Upton on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.